quick, and it's like the genesis of this class. It was a group of guys that had real fast, cool stuff that didn't necessarily have a home, so they made their own. And that's what's great about this sport, is that you can get a group of people together, not even like-minded people, just people who want to do the same activity and you can get after it.
You get people that don't even like each other.
Yeah.
And they form a coalition. They go to a racetrack operator and say, look, we got a bunch of cars, got a bunch of money, you can place the race. Well, racetrack operators release a bunch of money, and each one of them going to take 10 spectators with them? Yes. So that's where this came from. Scott Reedy out of Tampa. He's on a 2015 front-engine dragster. Yep, front engine, 2015, brought up to late model standards. It looks like a 50-style dragster, but it's not. 620 cubic inches of big block Chevy on nitrous oxide. Runs a Meritoric transmissions on the Budweiser side. Kenny Puffenberger Jr. out of Bradenton. You saw his dad earlier in the Camaro, the 2007 Mullis race car, 622. More conventional, super comp looking car.
And Rennie's car, a very, very long slingshot. Slingshot dragsters coming all the same shape, but a bunch of different wheelbase levels. And Rennie's car is a long one out there. See how that thing likes 620 inches of nitrous-fed big block Chevrolet powering the rear axle. Rennie's car smokes the tires immediately. Puffenberger running for his life out there. Goes 456 with a 152. Rennie goes 516.2 at 162 after a huge pedal job coming off the starting line.
Caitlin Cartuccio out of Wallingford, Connecticut, in that 2002 Chevy Camaro. She'll make the final pass on the 650 Index Racers. Oh, first 650.
So still in lights mode here for Cartuccio. Whoa, no, Cartuccio's car sideways, save it. Whoa, the car shoots across the racetrack and she catches the right side, passenger side. A glancing blow as Kayla Cartuccio rolling in the return area. Boy, that could have been way, way worse than it was. You saw the car kind of become unsettled, turn violently to the left and start to bounce. And once the bouncing starts, all bets are off. Cartuccio came across the track to the right, made contact with the right side door and front fender, and then has rolled down the return road. You can see the safety crew already going down to meet her at the top end of the racetrack. But a nice job of reactive driving by Cartuccio to prevent that from being something that could have been far worse. Big entrance for Toyota as Kenny Puffenberger Sr. with a 511-inch, relatively small engine in this category, rolls up on the Nelson competition side.
Puff was the Super Pro Track champion right after the track opened back in, I believe it was 73 or 4. So he's got some experience. Steve Tiona, 550 with a 3 for Senior, 552 with a 9 for Steve Tiona.
Now we got the word from the track official down there that the track is clean. So let's make some noise. Door closed on Kai Kelly's car and it rumbles to life. And we're about to hear Barry Mitchell's car make its own brand of supercharged noise as well. Kai Kelly spun the tires. The second he breathed on the gas pedal during that first run, it just struck the tires.
The second Barry Mitchell hit the gas, it flew.
Yeah, it literally hooked to the ground and was off like a
Pinned him
rocket.
back in that seat, and he was away for a ride.
So really, we got two guys kind of coming at this run from very opposite directions. You got very much much a proven commodity in Barry Mitchell down there, and Kai, at least in the last couple attempts, between the couple he made last night and the one this morning, has not exactly gone according to plan. If there was a plan. So Mitchell from Hamptonville, North Carolina, backs that gorgeous 1969 Camaro up towards the starting line. And again, we talked a little bit about it before, Bob, but the reality is being quick is great and fast is cool, but the fact that this guy has now laid up multiple very low bottom 80s on top of a mid-70, scary stuff for everybody else in reality.
Yeah, you look at it, and when you do that back to back to back, it's so legitimate. You've got to put the wheelies into the other racer.
Guy Kelly purging the nitrous system there. Those of you sitting up the grandstands can see the openings where those massive throttle bodies are breathing through the top. And Mitchell's car with the blown engine on alcohol, that very crisp exhaust note through the zoomy header. Number 1 and number 11 qualifiers, again, coming at this one from very different angles. Oh, Kelly puts it on the bumper, bounces it multiple times off the ground, and Barry Mitchell goes 385.5 at 186.95. 982 short time for Mitchell. Kelly was 112, but he was 112 with the rear tire. That thing climbed up and it landed like someone pushed it off a building twice. Ugh.
I'm pretty sure it hurt something. I mean, Kai Kelly's car. You were talking about the other car. Yeah, he slowed down by a.
Yeah, Mitchell's speed being down by 10 numbers. Certainly is a hot spot right now, and a couple of cars go face first into the 80s. So, going to be a very exciting final qualifying session a little bit later on. As we now move into limited drag radial with Lyle Barnett and Kevin Fiscus to lead us off. A couple of great guys, a couple of great cars out here in the starting line. Fiscus, the Jacksonville, Florida native, driving the Willard Kinzer Racing 1993 Mustang. Proline Fuel Tech, the major sponsors on this one. And of course, Lyle Barnett from Robbins, North Carolina, the inspirational story. Lyle severely hurt in a very, very kind of a horrifying race car fire. Fought for his life. Love of the sport still very much alive in this man, and he is back to showcase it, back in a big way. This car laid down in the leaf spring car, again laying down 430s. In Darlington, went 432 here yesterday afternoon. First run, it spun the tires. Kevin Fiscus did not spin the tires first run. Fiscus went 424.4 at 184 miles an hour to lead the limited drag radial category into this point. Barnett is pre-staged, Fiscus is pre-staged. Three flashes and they're gone. Barnett's car, whoa baby, look at Fiscus up there with the wheels in the air. 430, but even more important, Lyle Barnett goes 429 with an 8 at 174.71 on leaf springs. That is the quickest leaf spring car in history. 429.8 at 174.41 for Barnett. But Kevin Fiscus with the front end in the air to 330 feet. Absolutely incredible. And thousandths of a second ahead of Kevin Fiscus. Fiscus 424.3. Now it is Swanstrom at 424.4 for Fiscus. 424.3 for Swanstrom. Moves into the number 1 qualifying spot with a speed of 173.44.
Oh my goodness. These guys got to feel like they're on the outside looking in. Mike Gwynn out of Syracuse, New York. In your country with that beautiful big black 66 Chevy Chevelle. 765 cubic inches in limited drag radial.
And again, a big hunk of heavy race car out there as Gwynn is coming back towards the starting line. Kind of very interesting to look at. You look at the speed differential between the nitrous car of Swanstrom, that's now number 1, and Fiscus, 11 miles an hour in the 8. Of course, Fiscus the turbo combination, but Swanstrom's run is very impressive with the fact that the car really didn't, I mean, it was just very controlled, tied to the racetrack, No wheels up stuff. Very, very efficient run out there, and the numbers showing. So Husted from Newport Richey, Florida, the number 4 qualifier with a 4:29 right now. So within a few hundredths of the top of the pack. And Mike Gwynn went 12:86, an immediate tire smoking effort from him last time through. Mickey Thompson's, of course, on the back of both cars. So Profab, TRZ, and Dunedin Lanes. My man's a bowler. Not a baller, a bowler. Three-stage, here goes Gwynn. And Gwynn goes up on the bumper. Oh, a violent landing for Gwynn. That thing came down hard. You saw the sparks. 494.5 at 111 miles an hour, and Mike Gwynn. That looked tough. It had that real kind of awkwardness to it when it landed. Might have broke something in the front end, sitting kind of low as well. Gwynn is clearly able to steer the car. And momentum carrying through. Not sure if the car is still running or not, but boy, that was tough stuff there as far as the... Come, ladies and gentlemen, Dragula and the Munsters coach. Couple of truly iconic TV machines. The original cars were built by George Barris more than 50 years ago. These are tribute cars, very accurate reproductions, if you will. So, we have the Munsters coach rolling up on the Budweiser side, and we got Butch Patrick driving Dragula coming up on the Nelson competition side. Krager wheels, the lanterns, the whole deal. So there was a few people or a few families more famous in America during the 1960s, of course, than the Munsters. The television series ran for years. Butch played the role of Eddie Munster as a kid. And of course has been part of the lore and history of that program for more than a half a century, and it's very, very cool.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, the Addams Family. Sweet, petite, so get a with your shawl on, a broomstick you can crawl on with all.
Okay, so we have Dragula, we have the Munsters coach, and we got Butch Patrick driving the Dragula car. That is the Dragula, of course, being the dragster coffin. I think it actually sounds pretty healthy, the Munsters coach does. So the organ pipe style exhaust there, the slingshot style chassis. And I believe that is an actual coffin that the car is built around. Butch is backing up, and Petey's going to run out there and guide him back to the starting line. So in the actual TV show, it was Grandpa that drove the, it was Herman that drove the coach, and Grandpa drove the Dragula. There it is. There's the Munsters theme.
I tried to get Brian to ride up in that back seat, and he wouldn't do it.
It wasn't weight rated enough.
Is that what it was?
I don't know.
Go into a wheel stand or something there.
Slot mags, wire wheels on the Dragula car. The Munsters coach fully staged. It's actually pretty awesome. So Butch is driving a Dragula, goes through the 8th mile at 82 miles an hour. The coach is on the binders down there, and it will be the Dragula car. 14.93.3, slowing at 59. And the coach goes 15:35.3 at 58 off of the gas, went 8:84 at 77 in the 8th mile. So there we have it. You got 2 TV themes for the price of 1. You got the Munsters coach, you got the Dragula.
Reenactment of the 1960s show.
Absolutely. You can go on Google, you can Google up the episode, the Munsters Hot Rod Herman. You'll be able to actually watch the race that happened on the TV show between those two
In 1966?
vehicles. Yeah, sometime in that 65, 66 time frame.
Were you even born back then?
I was, that was 15 years before I showed up.
Okay, all right. Give or take, youngsters. Our favorite hot rod classes. Yeah, there aren't any rules. You can't run a top fueler or a top alcohol funny car, but other than that, altereds, roadsters, dragsters, whatever you got. There's Kenny Puffenberger Jr. out of Bradenton. He's on the shiny black dragster on the Budweiser side of the racetrack. He was your number 3 qualifier. Goes up against Kyle Dvorak. Dvorak's out of McHenry, Illinois, up in northern Illinois. And a Danny Nelson racecraft dragster. 509 cubic inches of supercharged Chevy with a mono wing on back.
There is no dial-in. There is no handicap. This is heads-up drag racing. Bob said the rule book on this class is very thin. It's about 6. It's the one, I think Moses might have carried it off the mountain. It's so short.
Well, there's only 6 rules, and Moses had 10.
Got that shipped into one tablet.
You know, rules are written on a matchbook cover.
Yeah. So a supercharged versus nitrous side-by-side matchup here. Both cars ran within a tenth or 2 of each other. Kyle being the quicker, a 425 to the 444 qualifier of the nitrous car of Puffenberger. Puffenberger red lights by 57 thou. So Kyle Dvorak, 432.1. Quickest run, or rather, I'm sorry, off the pace by 700ths of his qualifying, 168.95. Puffenberger repeated by 7 thousandths.
Yeah, 444 qualifier, 444 elapsed time. So good shot for Kenny Puffenberger Jr.
And the reality is Puffenberger's car normally competes in the top dragster category, which is a handicap, which is a dial-in style category that requires that pinpoint accuracy. When you get a car that's that fast, that over the span of 3 runs has varied basically a tenth of a second, you got something that'll play in top dragster racing
all day long.
We need Pro Drag Radial Wars back to the staging lanes, please. Pro Drag Radial Wars back to the staging lanes for round number 3. So that is the semifinal round of Pro Drag Radial Wars. So let us set the stage here. We have the guy who won the last big race held at Bradenton, Mike Janis. Came down here for the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals. Took care of biz. You got Adam Flamhawk, who won this race last year. How do you like that, Bob? How do you like that for a setup?
I think it's got 2 champions on the line. That makes the tension just a little bit more biting.
It is.
Flamhawk's in a 63 Corvette from Malmo, Sweden.
I was freaked out and thought that was you for a second, but it's in fact the tension biting me,
by a
not
Captain
you.
Coral, you're right. Mike Janis supercharges on the Nelson competition side of the racetrack.
There would have been charges pressed if it was anything but the tension biting me. I'll be honest with you. I don't stand for that.
Just a nibble every once in a while off the neck, man. Don't hold that against me.
So we got a Mike Janis supercharged Hemi built by Adam Flamhawk versus a Mike Janis supercharged Hemi built by Mike Janis on the starting line right now. Flamhawk, whoa, he squared the tire up, gets over by the wall, but it's Janis. 374.6 at 197, and Mike Janis has made contact with the wall at the big end of the racetrack.
Only one chute came out. And that slung him into the wall on the left-hand side. It was kind of a glancing blow, wasn't a head-on.
A multi-time Pro Mod champion, Janis was able to keep the car in his own lane. It grazed the wall. Bob, like you said, a single parachute deployment, directed the car to the left side, made contact with the car, contacted the wall on the left side. He kept it in his own lane, and that is the guy who has driven these cars for a quarter century, showing his talent down there at the top end. It is nitrous and it is turbochargers, and it's a pair of Fox Body Mustangs in the final round of Limited Drag Radio.
I'll bet these two guys been sitting down there running this race through their heads for the last 15 minutes and planning it and replanning it and figuring out what to do and who's going to do the whole shot, what RPM, and they probably scrapped that whole program.
As often as we see number 1 and number 2 in a final round in a quote-unquote, say, traditional drag race, it is not that common to see number 1 and number 2 facing each other down in a drag radial style category because the racing is so highly unpredictable.
And it's on the ragged edge, and somebody's going to screw up.
So both of these cars, the top two, the cream of the crop, made their way to the finals. And they both did it again in very different ways. Swanstrom's car has not showed any, to this point, of the wheel standitis that Fiscus has been battling. Fiscus made a very quick top 3 run in the history of Limited Drag Radial earlier today. So Swanstrom and Fiscus inch ahead. Once again, payouts are being made in racer registration. Which doesn't have the view we have up here in the timing tower, but they do have money. Take that for what it's worth. Swanstrom now pre-stage with Kevin Fiscus. And a battle of wills ensues.
I call it staging very, very carefully. Very carefully.
Neither man has moved yet. Neither man has moved yet.
I saw Kevin nick up just a little bit.
And still they sit next to each other. We have to bust a stopwatch out on these guys in a second.
Billy just
The
walked
starter
over
is
to him.
sat down on the wall, and there goes Justin Swanson. Fiscus brings it up on the two-step. He's gone. Look at the header flames from Whoa, a big backfire and a huge wheel stand. Unbelievable final round. It's Fiscus. Holy Christmas, 466, 152. Kevin Fiscus wheel stands his way to a final after Justin Swanstrom lets the fire out. 5:05.2 at only 100 miles an hour. A connecting rod and piston made its way out of the race car, apparently. A connecting rod literally hit the racetrack.
Watching Markin might be hot.